Wow, it's time for another show full of tips and ideas from the sales growth leadership expert, Dean Akers. Known for his experience in hyper-growing companies and creating cultures for high-performance teams, here's Dean.
Well, I'm your head ninja, Dean Akers, and every week I bring you a rant to stimulate your realm of thinking in the area of sales and or leadership. Today's show, the noise. Don't let it impact you. This is an unusual show for me today. And I say it's unusual. I kind of talk about this stuff all the time. But we've had a lot of political stuff. This is the second week in January 2021. We've had a lot of craziness in the political world this year, this past couple of years, and especially this past week. And I started hearing a lot of noise, and I started thinking about it, and it took me back years and years ago to where if I found out if I let noise impact me, it would truly impact me. And it was a scenario where I learned to kind of filter out the noise. So here's the good news and the bad news of the situation. The good news is right now we have more points of information than we've ever had in human history. We have social media sites, hundreds of channels on our TV, podcasts like this, networks of podcasts, the internet, traditional radio, and print media. The bad news, is we have more points of information than we've ever had in human history. The same as the good news. The bad news is we've had more points of information than we've ever had in history, and that's the social media, the hundreds of channels on our TV, the podcasts, the internet, traditional radio, and print media. And it's always 24/7, 365. Now, why is this good news and bad news? Well, the good news in the past was there wasn't a lot of information, but the good news is we suddenly got all this information. The bad news is we allow this information to really create self-talk and really get us kind of in a funk and start really thinking of situations that are outside of our control. So what is my point? We have access to this information and a barrage with this information, which can create all this noise, most of which none of us have any impact in changing, or quite frankly, most of us, it doesn't even truly impact us personally. And that doesn't, we don't have much control over. So it's kind of like, get over it. Let the noise go. Now, if you're a junkie for it, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But today I want to talk about the noise. The noise I want you to get in your head is a noise you have control over. Specifically, if you're a leader, ask yourself, have I done what I know to do as a leader if there was none of this noise? In other words, if there was none of this stuff going on, am I being a good leader of my team and keeping them from this environment of noise and keeping them focused? Have I worked with them to really help them reduce their noise, the noise they're taking on? Because this noise we're in the midst of is creating all kinds of stresses, and those are self-imposed stresses by and large. Have you created an empowered environment where your team feels safe about taking risk and helping the company expand the thinking of possibilities? Or are you the smartest person in the room telling them how to think and what to do every step of the way? This is a huge challenge. You're thinking there's noise going on, and the biggest challenge in your company is you being the smartest person in the room, telling everybody how to think and what to do every step of the way. If you're that person, you're for sure creating the noise, and you have just caused that noise and the impacts to be bigger. Take a moment as a leader and ask yourself, have you empowered your team with goals and measurements that they believe in? Have you provided them with every tool you can help them achieve these missions and goals with? And lastly, as a leader, have you gotten out of their way? Yep, you heard me. Have you gotten out of their way? Have you empowered them and gotten out of their way and give them a chance to really, really expand? Don't be the smartest person in the room. I work with entrepreneurs all the time, And their own biggest challenge is they create roadblocks and they think they got to be the smartest person in the room, which really limits their true success opportunities. I mean, I've actually had them tell me as recent as a couple weeks ago that, hey, I'm glad I know this stuff because my people, I can't count on them to know it and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, really? Do you believe that? And this particular person believes that. And consequently, after almost 20 years in business, they're still knocking along. I mean, make a few bucks, but they're not growing. And it's all with the noise that they create. And then they blame the noise outside of their control. Things that are, a competitor that's not even involved in your business. All this noise that people bring on themselves, and they believe that this things outside of their control are the reason for the performance and the performance of their team. That's just not true. The real impacts on their performance is from you as a leader. My message today, whether you're in management, you're a business owner, or you have an opportunity to be a leader of people, and I use this because I work with a lot of salespeople, and I share with salespeople, you're the leaders in your company. You may not have a title of, quote, leader, but a lot of people respond to how you react and how you help them or how you empower them or how you treat them. So you're also a leader. So the message is, I want you to look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you a real source of the noise that's impacting you and your team? Take time to step back and make 2021 your year to eliminate this noise. Listen to many of my previous shows that are about owning these results. You can also read my book, and I plug my book at the end of every show, but this book really has to do with eliminating this noise, and it's the book of self-talk, Think Like a Child. And this will really give you a dose of how noise can impact you from true stories that I've had in my life. So I really want you to go out this week. This craziness that's going on, all this noise in the background with politics and the president stuff and the social medias and the blah, 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 blah. Make sure you're helping your team understand that that's noise that they and you have no control over. And if it's angsting you and or your team, you need to get rid of that noise. You need to talk through that noise and talk about what you guys as a team can do to impact your business, or if you're an individual, what you can do to impact your own results and take ownership of that and get the noise out of your head. Again, thanks for tuning in each week. And remember, share this if this helps you. My book, Self-Talk, Think Like a Child, as I mentioned earlier, it's available on Amazon. And if you ever have a question, especially about this issue of noise, just reach out to me at help@deanakers.com. That's help@deanakers.com. And I'll be happy to help you. Have a great week this week, and let's eliminate the noise.
We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Subscribe today to our podcast and send questions or thoughts to help@deanakers.com. Also, visit us at www.deanakers.com to listen to prior shows and view helpful videos. Also, great tips to download. Thanks again. See you next week.